Today on Wearing History, I'm going to show how to do a bias facing finish for a neckline that includes a drawstring. This is for a late 1940s wrap house dress, and the technique is somewhat unusual in that there's no separate facing piece. First, you need to cut a wide bias facing. They call for about 1.75 inches, but you can use a little wider. I think I used a little over 2 for mine actually. Depends on how wide your ribbon's going to be. You can see there I had a join in my bias to make it long enough since I'm cutting this out of scraps. You turn up the lower edge and you leave the top edge raw, which is where you're going to attach it to the neckline here. At the back of the top of the neck, you can see there's a little turn back facing for the dress itself, and you are going to do the bias so it sandwiches underneath that facing. You'll understand in a minute. So like I said, here is the bottom of the neckline turned up on that bias facing, and the top edge is raw. I'm turning this facing back towards wrong sides out so that you can see I'm going to lay it right there on top, and then I'm going to start my pinning. I'm going to be very careful that the lower edge of this bias facing lays completely flush with the dress pattern. So you can see I'm slowly easing it into the top edge, being careful not to pull at the bottom edge at all. And then I'm going to be easing that excess. So I look at the top edge, I pivot it up so that those are flush. You can see I've got extra. I'm going to push that in and I'm going to pin it so it lays nice and flush. You will have to ease this in for sure. That's just the way that this pattern is. Now this is just a combination of matching those curves and making sure the outside edge lays flat, and then doing it over and over again for the entire neckline. The trickiest parts are going to be up there at the shoulder, and they're going to be at the lower part of the curve of the neckline. So make sure you really take your time to pin this well. Do the same to the other side. And let's see, right here where the facing is, I am, like I showed before, just putting it on top. I'm going to pin it, and then I'm going to stitch it all the way down, all the way around the neckline. Check the back side, make sure there's no weird bumps or anything. You do not want any tucks or any like pleats or anything. You want it nice and flush. You may actually find that pressing it beforehand really helps you. I didn't do that, and in retrospect I really should have. After it's stitched using your 1/2 inch seam allowance, you're going to trim down the seam allowance to about 1/4 inch. You can also cut out a little bit of that end of your bias, but not too much because you don't want it to splay there at the bottom. You want all edges to be finished. Then you are going to press it on the wrong side. It should be laying nice and flush now. You can see it's tucked between that back facing, and it lays like a little sandwich between there. Now you're going to carefully smooth it out. Make sure you don't pull any of your outside fabric or inside fabric, and you're going to pin all along the neckline there. Make sure you ease those curves, press it into place really nice and easy. And when you're completely done with pinning, you're going to stitch it but as close as you can to the fold line. Now see where I'm pointing there? Those 2 little marks are thread marks. Those are for where you want your ribbon to be tacked so that it doesn't go all the way through it doesn't pull and bunch up the back neck. Your eyelets should have been made first. Sorry, I should have mentioned that before. And you're going to go all the way up to the shoulder, out the back. See the back facing? You don't want that tacked down yet. You're going to grab your ribbon, and then you are going to pull it through this casing you just made. I'm going to note here that although I made the casing similar to the pattern, I actually used a little bit narrower ribbon, and I found that worked a little bit better. The original marking was kind of for the same size as the casing, so you might want to use a smaller ribbon too. Now, once it's pulled through, make sure the ribbon is really flat and flush. The velvet here made it kind of bunchy, and that's not really what you want. In retrospect, I should have used something like a satin or cotton or something nice and flat. So make sure it's really flat in that channel. Then you can cut off the end, pin this to place, and you're going to stitch that closed so that it holds it really nice and securely. You're also going to tack it up there at those marks like I said, so it's all the way flush from the center back neck all the way to the mark that you made for where the gathering should stop. So the only gathering part should be right there at the center front and the sides. After you've got it how you want it, you can tie your bow and it is finished. You can find this pattern on Wearing History on Etsy.com and wearinghistorypatterns.com. Thank you.